Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. I'm really excited today because we have the brand new BMW M340i xDrive behind me. Want to say a massive thanks and shout out to the Berry BMW group and Tony Lewis, who is in fact behind the camera today, for lending me this car for the next week or so. I've literally just got the keys to it. The plan is to have a quick walk around the car as per usual, look at any of the differences between this M-Lite version and your regular 3 Series. We'll jump inside, have a quick look at the cabin and talk about the spec. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up really early and head down to the south coast and shoot my first drive video on this car. The weather's not looking great at the moment, but let's keep our fingers crossed. Starting with the front end, it is a little bit more aggressive than your regular 3 Series M Sport, say, but it's kind of subtle as well, so typical M-Lite fashion. This one's actually got an option on it as well that gets rid of all the serum grey telltale signs like the wing mirrors, the wheels, the grille, etc. So this one is really hard to tell apart from, say, a regular, let's say, 320d M Sport. Obviously, once you get behind the wheel, it's a different matter. So looking at the front, we've got the BMW Intelligent grille, again, that you'll see across the 3 Series range. This particular car's got a few options on top of the already fully loaded regular car. The list price for these is about £47,500 on the road. This one lists at about £53,000, so it's got a few toys thrown at it, but actually out of the box at 47.5 grand, it's got pretty much everything you would expect and everything you need. But this does have a few tasty options like the beautiful laser lights, but we'll look more at the 4 options in a second once we jump inside the car. Along the side of the car here, again, telltale signs. Well, this has got the Shadowline package, which include these 19-inch black alloy wheels, but it's really, really beautiful. And in this dusk light, the mineral white paint really pops and once again makes me want to have a white car. I'm never happy with the car or the color that I've got. I always want a different color, but this clean in this light absolutely looks great, and I hope that the camera is sort of showing that off. Right, we're around the back now, and as you can see, the biggest telltale sign of this being what it is the M340i badging. Without that badging, this particular spec car would be really stealth and a bit of a sleeper. It's an xDrive as well. They only come in xDrive, and the fact that it's xDrive or all-wheel drive means that it actually gets from 0 to 60 in a claimed 4.4 seconds. I mean, that's sports car, and up until very recently, pretty much supercar territory. So that's insane to think about, considering this is not a proper or full-on M car. Other telltale signs around the back are we've got 2 big exhaust pipes, one either side. They are real, but they've got smaller pipes on the inside, which a lot of manufacturers are doing at the moment. So to me, that's fine, because the likes of, say, the recent S6 that I had from Audi, yeah, we won't talk about fake exhausts anymore, but these are real exhausts. They've just got smaller pipes behind them, and I think they look really good. They sit in there really nice, and again, it's a very nice, subtle, smooth, clean look around the back end. It's not shouting, look at me, I'm an M340. It's just telling you that this is a little bit of a special model. We'll just open the boot, have a quick look in there, and in fact, yes, it's typically large, and this is a standard 3 Series boot, so lots and lots of room in there. You've got some nice storage bins either side that Matt Watson from Carwow would be overwhelmed with. He'd probably put lots of bottles of water and sweets in there to show you how big they are. So yeah, fantastic. And in fact, I've got something in there that I'll be telling you more about in future videos. Rim guard, remember that. Little teaser. Anyway, let's close the boot. Before jumping in the front, I'm actually going to jump in the back and show you how much room these 3 Series have got now, because Tony and I were actually talking off camera earlier on, and they've just grown so much that it's more like a 5 Series than a 3 Series these days, and I'll demonstrate that. So the driver's seat is in my position. I'm 6'3", 6'4" on a good day. Jumping in the back here, just pull my trousers up so you don't get my plumber's crack. So, as you can see, there's plenty of room in here. Yes, my knees are quite close to the driver's seat, but you've got to remember, 6'4", 6'4", plenty of headroom. My head's just touching the roof, but that's really good, because in something like the outgoing 4 Series Grand Coupe, obviously you're sacrificed by headspace, and I've been in a couple of other manufacturers' cars in this size segment where I've struggled to actually fit in the back. Gone are the days of BMW making amazing drivers' cars that aren't so practical. These really are, and they're really, really comfortable. And I think that's what people have got to understand is, yes, cars are growing and they're getting a bit heavier, but if you're going to sacrifice some good space and comfort in here, then why not? Again, the door opening on the new 3 Series to me feels a bit bigger than the old one, but I don't know if I'm making that up in my head. But it's certainly quite easy for me to get in and out of as a Giant. Now, in here, typically amazing, typically BMW, typically perfect driving position. I could close my eyes and I could be in a Porsche 911, which is the highest compliment I could give any car, because I think Porsches have got the very best driving position and BMW are 98% of the time there. But saying that, sometimes some of their models you don't quite feel like you're sitting in a BMW, but this one is just spot on. It feels really good in here. Everything's good. The steering's nice and close, but I've got lots of legroom. Again, I'm a Giant, so the fact that this can cater for me is brilliant. The seats, well, they're just fantastic. To me, they look pretty much similar to the M Sport seats or the sport seats that you get in the current 3 Series or the new 3 Series. They feel great. They're very comfortable, but very, very supportive, all in the right places. They fit me perfectly. The headrest actually sits up high enough to accommodate my big head. The cabin itself, well, it's all pretty much typical new BMW 3 Series affair, which is about as good as cabins get in my opinion. There's a couple of average plastics hidden away, but as a whole, I just think it's brilliant. And the way it's built, the fit and finish on it is really where BMW prides itself. Obviously, you've got the operating system 7, iDrive system in here, which is BMW's latest iDrive system. So it sort of has all the touchscreen stuff that I tend not to use, but it also has the brilliant iDrive controller with the touchpad on the top of it and stuff. And it's just simple, it works, everything in here is just really nice. Dash is now completely full digital dash in here with all the new dials, which is really nice. Again, you can sort of customize the display so you can have loads of stuff on there, or you can simplify it, which I like, and in fact Tony was saying he likes as well, because we're a bit more old school. We love our analog dials still, so I think some digital dials is just too much information shouting at you. You want to get rid of that, and you can do that with this, so really cool. And everything else in here is lovely. There's buttons for things that I want buttons for, and everything else is digital. Steering wheel itself is lovely. Again, looks very much like a normal M Sport steering wheel with your paddles. So this is something that Tony prepared for me earlier. It's basically an invoice of what this car is, or a spec sheet of what this car is. So as I said earlier on, this car is about 47,500, 48,000 pounds on the road as a base car. Now, in terms of a base car, it comes with a lot of standard equipment. It comes with the operating system 7. It comes with leather. It comes with heated seats. What else does it come with, Tony? Folding mirrors, LED lights all around, you know, all your adaptive suspension. Literally, to be fair, if you're stretching your budget, there's not anything you really need to tick about this car. Even comes with metallic paints as standard. So this mineral white paint is just a standard option, so you're not paying extra. This car has got a few toys thrown at it because Tony gets a bit excited. I think he's got Tourette's on the computer. So what have we got? Well, we've got the visibility package, which consists of the laser lights and the high beam assist, which is 1,500 quid. But you got to hear me out. Laser lights a couple of years ago were about £5,000 on cars like the 7 Series. Technology package. So this comes with the head-up display, which again you can modify on the new head-up display on this particular car. It comes with a loudspeaker system, so we've got Harman Kardon speakers everywhere. God knows how many, but it sounds really good from what I've heard so far. Enhanced Bluetooth with wireless charging. There's a really nice pad in here that you can throw all modern mobile phones in, and they actually charge really well. The early systems were terrible. No one ever used them. They got a really bad name for themselves. But the newest ones, in fact, the newest wireless charging pads on most modern German cars are really worth having. They're fantastic. They're really good, and also encourages you to throw your phone down there and not use it while you're driving. So I think it's a really good little function or feature to have. Other things, BMW Gesture Control. This is in the technology package still. I think Gesture Control's annoying. I turn it off in my 7 Series personally, but as you can see, that's because I gesture with everything. So if I'm sitting here talking to a friend, everything's happening. Yeah, all these sort of things, you know, when I'm waving at other BMW drivers or whatever, it just gets a bit out of control. So then this one's got the Shadowline Plus package, which we've briefly talked about on the outside. That basically gets rid of all the serum grey parts on the M340i, replaces it with a 19-inch jet black 791 wheels, black mirror caps, sun protection glass, and BMW individual high gloss shadow line with extended contents. I think what... Front grills. Yeah, I was going to say, basically, in short, what that is front grills in black and the canards in black. The only other couple of options it's got is the M Technology package, which...
I think I got 2/3 of it. It's definitely a larger front disc for sportier driving.
Yep.
And an extra cooler in the engine system to keep the engine cooler at higher temps.
Right, so it is actually a performance upgrade then. Yeah, okay. So yeah, and that's just 300 quid, so that's not too bad. The other thing is piano black trim, which is in the interior, makes it look really good. As you know, piano black looks great. It's quite hard to maintain. So yeah, that's about it really. I think next thing to do is start it up, hear what it sounds like, and then we'll cut to me tomorrow morning driving this in a really beautiful place, hopefully with beautiful weather. Good morning guys, how's it going? As you can see, my wishful thinking on the weather front didn't quite pull through. We've had some really heavy showers this morning, but it's cleared up now, so yeah, I can't complain. I'm in the M340i after all. Before we start this first drive video, just want to do a big shout out to my clothing brand, controlandshift.com. This is a new t-shirt that I've got on today. Better looking on Instagram. Well, that's debatable with me, but hopefully you find it amusing. Please head over to our website and check out what else we've got on there, and anything you buy is going to support me and my YouTube channel, so thanks a lot for that. Right, onto the car. What have I discovered? Well, in my 80-odd mile journey this morning, which was mixed miles, M25, quite bad traffic, A and B roads, through villages and towns, etc, etc, I almost averaged 39 miles to the gallon. Unbelievable. I mean, it really is. This is a brand new car, so it's really tight. Cars get more efficient the more miles you put on them. Usually, you know, when you've got 5,000–10,000 miles in the car, it loosens up a bit more. When it's got 40,000 miles in the car, it's even more economical because it just tends to, the engine breaks in fully, etc. So this is a brand new car. It's xDrive. 380 horsepower, 0 to 62 in 4.4 seconds quoted. Feels quicker than that to me. Big car, all this tech and luxury. I mean, how can it do that? How can it do that? In my M2 competition, if I did the same journey this morning, I'd be lucky to see about 25 miles to the gallon. So comparing 25 to almost 39, that's a massive, massive difference. Oh, I love this B58, and in this car, it's the best version, the best tune that I've ever experienced. My first point with this car is how good it is at just being a car, just being a 3 Series. It is very good, and I'm in no doubt that this will be better than the incoming M3 at just being a car. You know, getting you from A to B, doing your journeys like my one this morning, motorway stuff, fairly mundane stuff that you expect a car to do. It's very, very good at that. And of course, with MPG figures like I've just talked about, you've probably got a realistic range of about 500 miles in this thing. So it's fantastic. You've got the fantastic 8-speed ZF gearbox, which we all know and love these days. We're all very familiar with. A lot of manufacturers use them now for the right reasons. But it's all very well having that gearbox, but if you haven't got the right software and calibration to back it up, then I've used it in other cars where it hasn't been so great. But in this one, I'm just leaving it in drive, in comfort at the moment, and it's just stirring through the box nicely. I'm not having to think about anything. It's just a really, really lovely, relaxing place to be, and everything works in comfort with the dampers, the adaptive dampers, which are standard on the M340i. In comfort, they're actually, you know, it's actually a very, very good ride. This is on Bridgestone run flats, and we'll talk a bit more about them at the end of the video. And they obviously don't help with the ride. Run flat tyres have got much thicker sidewalls, and therefore the smaller bumps, no matter how good a suspension system is, you always tend to feel the smaller bumps a bit more through a run flat tyre. In terms of its two characters, so we talked about it being a brilliant car. When you put it into sport, the head-up display changes, everything. Knock it over into manual. In fact, I've got it in sport. Let's put it in sport individual. There we go. My sport individual is basically everything ramped up, but the steering in comfort, so a bit lighter, and the suspension in comfort, so a bit softer, because here in the UK, having it in, you know, in sports is just a bit too stiff. Now, I think this is brilliant. I haven't really had a chance to push this car hard, but I can tell you, and I can report that although this is xDrive, I soon discovered last night on a wet and very slippery roundabout, and this was not me antagonising the car, as I picked up the throttle with the traction control semi on, I could feel the back end of the car rotating slightly. So there's no doubt that this is a rear bias setup, which is exactly what we want. And in weather like this, although I'm a big rear wheel drive fanboy, there's no doubting that this setup is going to be an absolute weapon in, you know, in the winter months. It's just going to be great. It feels really good. The actual turn-in's really nice. The brakes on this are fantastic. They're very, very powerful. Yeah, they just feel great. They're very consistent as well. They don't seem to fade in bad weather or feel any different. The brake pedal's just there, and it just feels great. BMW brakes are getting better and better and better. I mean, these brakes are far better than anything you would have found in an M car about 10 years ago. We already know that the new 3 Series is a fantastic car, and with this power plant, it's just completely transformed it, completely changed it, turned it into just a proper weapon. It really is an awesome bit of kit. This B58 in this tune is the best out of the box B58, which, I mean, the best B58 out of the showroom. Before, we know that tuning them can do wonders to these engines, and we know how capable they are, but this particular one is amazing. It seems to lack a tiny bit of lowdown because they've obviously turned the boost up, and when you do that, then I think you sacrifice a bit of the lowdown, but I'm talking about a fraction. But what you get in reward up top is just another level. Like, it's really, you know, it's a quick road car, this. It really is absolutely lovely. I love the way it looks. I think its looks are fantastic. Really like this mineral white as well. Really beginning to love white cars again, I think, because you don't see too many of them around on the roads these days. The driving position's fantastic, as we talked about yesterday when I was sitting in here initially. It's really nice. All of the tech in here is lovely. It's all very familiar to me, but it's just more modern than, say, in my M2 competition, because it literally is the next generation. Everything works so well. The head-up display I absolutely love. The laser lights are fantastic at night. They are unbelievably good, but I'd only really get them if you need them. So I live out of London. I do a lot of sort of country driving at night. These sort of roads, middle of the night, they're fantastic. But if you're just living in town and in a built-up area and don't tend to sort of travel out into the country too much, then laser lights probably are a waste of money if I'm being honest, but they do look great. They got a lovely start up and shut down sequence as well, so really cool. Yeah, amazing technology. What really excites me about the M340i is the fact that, well, as from now, you can order a touring version of one of these. You can't buy an M3 touring, you can't buy an M5 touring, you can't really buy anything in touring, guys, from BMW that's particularly sporty, but this in a touring will be amazing, and it will still be around £50,000 on the road, which I just think is fantastic value. And yes, Alpina have just shown us their fantastic, beautiful and sexy B3 touring at the Frankfurt Motor Show, but realistically that's going to be what, 65 grand before options on the road here in the UK. Worth every penny, may I add. I haven't even driven it, but I know it will be, but that's in another price bracket. So for £50,000 the touring will be, I think it really will be, one of the best all-round cars on sale today, if not the best. This is lovely, but if it was my money I would have the touring. I think they look better, and obviously they're certainly more practical, and you lose very little in terms of performance because they don't really weigh too much more. So a touring one of these, oh yes, now that would be the absolute weapon. As with everything, there are negative points that I've discovered with this car, and I will run through them very quickly. One being the steering, it's very numb, even when it's in comfort, so the lightest mode, it's just, I think, overly weighted and very electric feeling, which is no surprise because it is electric, but there just doesn't seem to be much feeling there. Again, I think a lot of that's down to the overly fat rim of the actual steering wheel, so I wish they would make that a bit thinner, but I talk about that all the time. Other slight negatives are lack of engine sound. So if I really boot it and I'm in sports, you can hear it, but a lot of that's got to do with the acoustic glass, so the double glazing this car's got. So you can hear some. We've got some actual cracks and pops going on in the exhaust back there. They're a bit muted because of the OPF, but you just can't hear. You can't hear enough in here. Even when I'm up in the revs, like that's 4, 5, 6. Okay, you hear a bit more now. Is some of that orchestrated? I don't know. As we come into a 30, I'll change down. Hopefully you can just about hear those slight pops and cracks on the overrun. But yeah, it's a bit of a muted sound in here. It's not quite loud enough. It's not quite what I want to hear, but it's not too bad. It's just another slight negative. The last one I'm going to finish on is something that can be resolved. It's the tyres. They are Bridgestone run flats, and it's just such a shame that BMW builds such an incredible car. They spend so much money and time developing such an amazing bit of kit, and then insult it by putting some Bridgestone run flats on it, because they really don't do the ride and the handling any justice. But that's not the end of the day or end of the world, because obviously whoever buys one of these can rush straight out and spend, you know, 800 quid on a good set of Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's. Guys, thanks a lot for watching as always. I hope you've enjoyed this first look, first drive video on the M340i. Just want to say a massive thanks once again to Tony Lewis and the Berry BMW group for lending me this car. I couldn't have done it without them, as always, so thanks a lot, guys. Make sure you check out Tony on Instagram, and I've got his email below, so if you want a quote on one of these or any BMW Mini, please make sure to give him a shout and see what he can come up with. Until next time, guys, I will see you then. Cheers.
Well, I wish you guys could smell that. That smelled lovely. Thankfully no stones in my face. Oh my god, he's coming back. Shit!
Got a lot of trust
That's brilliant.